This video is directed purely towards millennials. Now, previously, I did a video about how millennials can break out of the burnout generation or work life. And today I just want to break down some things that we need to become cognizant of. And of course, this can apply to as many people who feel that it needs to apply to. But I'm going to talk to millennials specifically because that's the group I belong to apparently. Now, you can check out my previous video which talks about this stuff, but I want to remind you guys that there is a hero inside of you. That is a little secret gem there that you'll only understand if you watch the previous video. So go and check that out. Now, of course, there's so much going on at the moment. There's so much pressure. There's so much anxiety. There's so much burnout. There's all these things happening. And we've had certain hopes and dreams that were escalated and ballooned during the 90s or the early noughties. But we haven't been able to really capitalize on these things because of really the whole mess up of the economy and society. And so I want to talk about some things that I utilize in my own life to help create some element of control. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but it definitely helps. Now, if you want to sort of go along with this stuff, I have a life management template that you can check out and access by clicking on the link below. You don't have to access it, but it would be useful to access it because, again, it coincides with this whole sort of theory that I've put together. Now, I've broken down the management of life into 4 main sections, okay? So we got progress, we've got performance, we have people, and we have personal. So I call these the pillars of mastery. If you don't know what mastery is my business brand. So let's get into it. Let's look at what progression looks like. Now, if we break down what progression is, essentially it's portfolio management, wealth management, and also business management as well. It's trying to make sure that there is an escalation, a positive escalation in your life so that you are living the lifestyle that you're looking to live. So let's look at these 3 one by one. So portfolio management, what is a portfolio? A portfolio is a career that you create as opposed to pursue. We're not in a stage anymore where we're moving towards something that we're pursuing. That is for very, very niche roles, and that's for the old way of doing things. I believe the pandemic really accelerated the push of the gig economy and people working for themselves or working remotely. So I think it's by 2025, 50% of people will have a recognized portfolio career. It's here to stay. It's a growing phenomenon. We're seeing the likes of AI and quiet quitting and burnout and the cost of living crisis push us into this space. And so this comes down to really thinking about, what is my sense of purpose? How do I identify as an individual? And if purpose feels like a heavy thing for you, a heavy burden, you need to look at things like your interests, what you're good at, different experiences that you've had, your cultural backgrounds, your sense of history. All of these different things piece together your sense of purpose. Even understanding what your sense of values are, the things that you deem as important. If you did this exercise of looking at things that are important to you, i.e., things that you've really enjoyed, things that you haven't really enjoyed, things that you really hate, things that you really love. How would you describe really good friendship? If you answer those questions really well, you'll get to a point of understanding what you truly value. In my book, Understand, Reach, Expand, 15 Super Effective Ways to Manage Your Mind, I have an exercise in there in which it shows you how to identify some of these principles and values in your life, because these values help you decide your next steps in life. I always say, values determine your destination and your destination determines your destiny. So it's really important to establish what those things are. Now, of course, once you get a sense of purpose, and I'm going through this very quickly, you can check out other videos to learn more about this stuff. You need to be able to sort of like put your finger on what you want to focus on as an individual. Now, again, when talking about a portfolio career, I say there are 6 different types. Okay, you could be a career traditionalist, which most of us started off with, where it's a typical 9 to 5. You are pursuing a career. You could be a conservative contractor. So for those of you who are in contracting, who will follow some of my videos, you may be escaping to that space. You may be a diversified personal brand, somebody who has books or building courses and is a speaker and all this kind of stuff. These are all different ways in which you can diversify your portfolio. But you need to think about where you want to head next to and think about what that looks like in terms of your output. And so you need to start thinking about, what is it that you're trying to do? Who are you trying to serve? What problems are you trying to solve? Answer those questions. Again, I released an article on this, a newsletter article on this, talking deeply. I think it's like 5,000 words, breaking down succinctly how you can do this. So again, check out the links below or go to my website, michaeltabirade.com. So once you've found that thing, okay, once you've really established that thing, you want to make sure that you become a practitioner in this space. So you want to make sure that you sit down and you listen to the people who are really big or prolific in this space. Rather than reading all these books and all this kind of stuff there, which you can, I think that's always a good thing. A little hack that you can take is checking out these keynote talks on YouTube or podcast episodes or sessions of these people talking about this stuff at length, and you writing notes or typing out notes in your Notion and categorizing the information. The ability for you to really decipher this stuff is going to allow you to become accelerated in your knowledge and understanding within this space and field. So this is what you need to do. And then create a solid system around sharing this information so that other people can see it, because you want to be seen as not necessarily an authority or expert, but a thought leader, somebody who has thought in these spaces. Now, I'm not necessarily saying you have to stick to one thing. I think we're in an economy right now where you can share your thoughts and ideas on multiple different areas, but maybe 2 or 3 is safe. So for example, with me, I have a lot of focus on portfolio careers, positive psychology, and life management. That's where everything coalesces, and I talk about that stuff. Some of you know me for contracting only. I don't just talk about contracting. Before contracting, I was purely on personal development. Some people know me for other stuff. Some people just know me as a program manager or project manager. The point I'm making is we have different facets. And so looking at interests as opposed to niche or demographics can be difficult at times. So focus on where things light you up. And in that intersection, there is an opportunity to make more money. Now, I'm not necessarily saying you have to be a business owner or anything like that. Like I said, there's the career traditionalist or the conservative contractor. However, it does pay to have certain sort of pillars that you're focused on and diving into those interests so you can share that information as well. So that's a little bit about the portfolio bit, okay? The next bit under progression is the wealth management, okay? So you need to determine what your specific goals are. And once you understand what your goals are, i.e., I want a house, I want to make £40,000 a month, I want to do X, Y, and Z, I want to pay off debts. You need to then look at your sort of like money situation. I spoke about Money Dashboard before. Money Dashboard and other things integrates with your bank in order for you to get a clear pattern and breakdown of how much money you're spending on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly basis. So really do that scrutiny and understand what you can get rid of. Get rid of unnecessary subscriptions. Get rid of things that you've forgotten about. Really analyze and break this down. Even export it on Excel if you want to. Then what you want to do is work out how much money you actually have to play with and how much money you can't sort of like compromise with. If you've got debt, pay off that debt. Focus on paying off that debt aggressively. I know sometimes we're like, oh, but it's a fallen life. Look, this is the question. This is the thing that really humbled me. I was not the man that I wanted to be. And the only way I could be the man I wanted to be was to pay off that debt because it was holding me back. I couldn't afford things that I wanted to afford. So I aggressively paid back the debt. I was paying £550 a month and I paid an additional £1,000 a month. I did that for 18 months. And okay, some person may be like, what was your salary back then? I think I was earning 44, 45K or whatever it may be. It may be more than you, it may be less than what you have, but please have assurance that it's possible to do this stuff. You just need to know your situation. So pay for your debt. You can do high interest first or bigger payments first. You can consolidate them into a consolidation loan. It may be high interest initially if your credit score isn't that great. The best way to increase your credit score is to increase your income and pay off your debt. It's that simple. There's all this other stuff that you can do, like be an electoral roll and stuff, but it's to increase your income and pay off your debt. That's the best way to do it. I don't care what anyone says. Some people say you should have debt just to sort of have it on there. For who? Think about your lifestyle, not these silly rules that people talk about. So think about that stuff. If you want to, you may want to do this whole piggy banking sort of like methodology where you put a certain amount of money into another account. So for me, I used to do this. I used to put this in my Monzo account, and my Monzo card was how I would pay for stuff. I don't do this anymore because I don't think about money the same way because I just don't. And I'm not trying to say I'm stunting or balling. I just don't think about it that way. I don't need to. I'm managing my money extremely well at the moment. So think about that stuff. What I think is extremely important even after you paid off your debt, focus on the debt first. You've got any debt, is to make sure that you save for an emergency fund. save for an emergency fund. When you start seeing that you have a minimum of 3 months worth of expenses in there to cover, like in terms of your emergency fund, you will feel good about yourself. You may start off with £1,000 like Dave Ramsey talks about. You may want to aim for £3,000. You may want to aim for £6,000. You may even want to aim for £20,000. Not for a property, not for a car, for emergencies. Just to have it there. And you may never have an emergency, okay? But just to know you got 20k there, sitting there, that's great. If you want to be a bit more risky or whatever it may be, you may decide, actually your emergency fund sits within your S&P 500. But I'd probably separate that. Emergency should just sit somewhere in a high interest savings account. And then, I'm not a financial advisor, so this may be totally wrong. This is all sort of like up to your own jurisdiction to think about. It's totally up to you. It's your element of risk. I'm just giving you ideas in terms of how I've done things as well. And of course, this may change in the future, but it's working for me. So think about that stuff. Now, thinking about sort of like the whole investment thing, do you invest in sort of like a stock or an ETF or whatever it may be? It's a difficult one. For me personally, I do sort of invest in the S&P 500 on a monthly basis. It's not a huge amount, but I'll be honest with you, I don't know if that's a bit of a scare tactic. I don't know if that's a bit of FOMO and missing out on all this kind of stuff there. Logically, in my mind, it makes sense to, at least if you're a business owner, focus on investing in your business and use that capital over time to put that into the stock market. That makes more sense to me. Or if you're doing something like, day trading or whatever it may be, again, build up that capital, provided that you're using the right sort of stringent measures and you're strict and you have your decision-making process. You use those funds and put it into that stuff. So eventually dividends will come out for you. You're in a high dividend paying sort of like stock or fund or whatever it may be, and it's paying you back. So again, up for you to decide, but I'm posing this stuff so you can think about it. The other thing I'd say is determine what type of property you want to be in. Now, if you're on property already, that's fair enough. Not for you to think about. But if you're at that decision where, okay, maybe you're living at your mum's house and you're really stressed and things are difficult and you're contributing money and you're being told to do X, Y, and Z, you don't have your sense of free will, maybe buying a house is going to take too long. Whether you're with a partner or not, maybe buying a house is too long, especially if you don't have the funding or the capital for it. There's nothing wrong with renting. And look, I hold my hands up. I have never rented. I don't have a rented property. I bought my property, but that's because that's my goal. And I was in a different situation. I was in a different mindset. I was earning different money. But for you, renting might be the option. Think about your peace. Think about all of that kind of stuff there, because yes, when you do move into a property, there is this element of maintenance and management and learning new things and all this kind of stuff there. Fair enough. However, with this, you need to think about your mental health, your mental space, and your ability to execute on some of these goals. Maybe it's the fact that your environment is the environment for you. So moving out may be the best option, as long, and this is the caveat, as long as you do the numbers. You need to do the numbers. And this is why you need to look at all of your expenses, cut down on crap, and focus on paying off any debt that you have in order for you to be in a position where you can afford this with your chest up high. It's that simple. The last thing I'd say is think about your relationship, so to speak. Okay, think about if there is the opportunity for you to set up some sort of wills. So this is more important if you have kids or dependents upon you. Also think about your setup if you're in a partnership. Do you want to get married? Are you married? What insurances do you have in place? Do you have health insurance or life insurance? Do you have income insurance? Do you have those basic insurances in play? Like, there are so many financial advisors that you can find on Instagram, LinkedIn, or whatever it may be. Check out some of their stuff, speak to some of those people, try to understand what you need for yourself. Okay, and obviously make sure you go to a qualified person rather than someone who's just an enthusiast. And then that way, you are set up and you're protected. Think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Yes, from a base level, we need to make sure that we're sleeping well, nutrition, all of that kind of stuff there. But also the next base is around things like insurance, money, career, all of that kind of stuff there. The last bit out of progression is business, okay? Business management, okay? So if you're managing a business, I want you to check out this book called E-Myth Revisited, okay, by Michael E. Gerber. And really it talks about how you set up a franchise, okay? Set up a franchise type model where you develop the right level of systems and intellectual property so that you can be replaced. That is the goal. You don't want to stay in the business all the time. Otherwise, you're just a technician or a practitioner. You need to be, I think, what he calls the entrepreneur, the manager, and the creative or founder or something like that, is one of those things. No, and technician, sorry. So let me say that again. The entrepreneur, who's the visionary, the creative, the manager, who's the process person, and you've got the technician who can get the job done. You need to find a way to create business where you can replace yourself and literally just be the entrepreneur and enjoy life, okay? So aim to replace yourself. So that's using things like Google Docs or Microsoft Office or Notion to develop things whereby you can replace yourself, where people can follow that stuff and you can get contractors or freelancers to do it for you instead, provided you're making an income or you've got enough income to allow this stuff to happen. And again, you can't just do this willy-nilly. You have to have in mind that whatever you're creating or getting them to do is generating income. You have to develop a strong system. Really, a system is a set of procedures, a set of steps and routines that you follow day by day, week by week, month by month, and you check on to see if you're producing those outputs. So again, passion is not enough, my friends. It's not going to be enough if you're trying to develop a business. You need a system. If you're more of a personal brand, another great book for you to check out is Key Person of Influence. It is a fantastic book by Daniel Priestley. He's got a whole collection of really good books, but that's a really good book for you to really sort of absorb and utilize. I think those two books alone are enough for you to really understand how to go about things as well, okay? Also want to say that it's easy to sort of complicate things or whatever it may be, but simplicity and authenticity is where it's at when it comes to business at the moment. So hopefully this gives you a full rounded idea. Again, you can check out my information on the No BS guide to developing or creating a strong portfolio career. It talks about this stuff in detail. So remember, under progress, you have portfolio career progression, you have wealth management, and you have business management. So that's the first section. Second section is performance. So what is performance? Performance is really broken down into nutrition, physical, and mental. So let's talk about nutrition. So obviously, if you're within a certain sort of like diaspora culture, you know, you're so used to having different cultural foods and rich foods and tastes and flavors and all this kind of stuff there. It tastes amazing. I'm not saying you shouldn't have that stuff, but I think you should understand what's in that stuff as well. The number one killer for most people is carbs, is sugar. Carbs act and glucose acts as a neurotoxin. I don't want to say neurotoxin. That's probably the wrong language, but it acts as a toxin in the blood in a sense that if you have too much of it, you're essentially poisoning yourself. You're triggering a response in the body that shouldn't really be happening. And if you're doing that every so often, then you're going to create a level of resistance whereby your body doesn't know how to absorb or take in sugar anymore. It just leaves it in the blood, it's just floating about. And so your blood becomes sticky and unable to carry its functions in terms of, again, carrying oxygen so that you can be alert and not sluggish. That's why sometimes we feel low and lethargic and all this kind of stuff there. I know a bit about this stuff because I studied medical biochemistry, okay? And obviously I'll watch a little bit of this stuff too. But the point being made is, rather than relying on Deliveroo, and I'm talking to myself as well, we need to learn to create some sort of rhythm in our life, or at least have the energy to, again, make food. There's nothing wrong with making food. Learn how to develop your own flavors. It's okay to create flavor. But chicken is only chicken because of the flavor. So create your own flavors. You know, so move away from pure sugars and focus on more protein, more vegetables, reduce carbs. I'm not saying cancel carbs at all. That's up to you if you want to do the whole keto thing or whatever. But reduce it, because that's what will make you look more trim. And so another thing we need to do is understand that food shapes and crafts your body, okay? It's about discipline. It's about discipline, my friends. There's nothing else. It's about discipline. So pick a day where you're going to start being better. Obviously, you can't just start like that. You need to look at your fridge and clear out some stuff. I'm guilty as charged. I'm not going to lie. When I start these journeys, then I start eating the stuff that I shouldn't be having before the deadline. Do you know what I mean? But maybe you want to throw this stuff in a bin. Maybe you want to give it away. Whatever you decide to do, that's fine. But just declare that on this day, whatever day you choose, I'm going to get started. And so you have to make sure you do the shopping beforehand. And this is why we spoke about the wealth stuff before, because again, this will give you an idea of what you can spend. And buy the right stuff. Maybe there has to be a thing where you buy vegetables every week or every 2 weeks. Maybe you just do the whole frozen vegetable thing. There's nothing wrong with frozen vegetables. You can do that as well, whether it's mixed veg or broccoli or whatever it may be. You decide what you're willing to do. I know what I'm willing to do in terms of freshness and frozen stuff. So remember, nutrition is key. So that's the first part under that section. The second part is physical management. Now, there's so many things at play here, okay? Sleep is one thing. Sleep is a very, very important thing. You know, it's so easy if you're a guy watching this to get distracted, to start playing games before you go to sleep, or for anyone just to effectively, again, that was a bit sort of like stereotypical. This could be women too. But again, it could be a thing where you're watching YouTube videos, okay, or talking to someone on the phone or whatever it may be. Your early morning routine starts the night before. It's that simple. There's no two ways about it. I've been saying this for years. It starts the night before. Again, it's still stuff that I'm working on, but I recognize that it's the self-awareness. And so you need to be able to set up some sort of like routine, alarm, whatever it may be, to start going to bed earlier. One thing you can do is set an alarm on your phone an hour before you go to sleep, so that you can turn off all the lights, so that your body starts to know that actually, you know, it's time to go to sleep. This is a really good tactic because it makes you feel a bit more sleepier. Or you could go to your bed and do whatever you need to do there with your, you know, whatever you think is necessary. I was going to say some stuff, but it sounded a bit suspect, so I kind of like steered the other way. Can you imagine? Anywho, point I'm making is it's really important. Now, there are things you could do on a daily basis or a weekly basis. Walking's one of them. If you have it in you, you can, you know, buy yourself an indoor treadmill, a foldable one, okay? I think they cost like 200 odd pounds, depending on what type you're looking for, 300 odd pounds, possibly 400 odd pounds. Yeah, it's a lot of money, but if you got the money to spend, why not buy it? If you got nice parks around you, go for a walk. Go for a walk, you know, as soon as you wake up, or do it after work, or do it during lunchtime. Go for walks for at least half an hour, twice a day, or an hour or 90 minutes. Whatever you can afford to do. If you've got a bike, go bike riding. Call someone and ride the bike with them. And when was the last time you rode a bike? I bought a bike the other day and I realized how unfit I was because I could feel it burning in my thighs. It was serious. If you got weights at home, maybe you want to get the Fit app, okay? So I'm not affiliated with Fit in any way, shape or form, but Fit has been a fantastic way in which I've been able to sort of like, you know, exercise and stuff. Really, really good workouts and all that kind of stuff there. And yeah, check it out. It's £120, I think, a year, or you can do a monthly option. I hate monthly stuff. And so these are all options you can utilize. Of course, there's the gym, but don't just go to the gym just to go to the gym. You need to make sure you have some sort of structure. You need to have some sort of workout. Maybe you're going with someone and you've got a PT, or you've got a program that you're following from something you've bought. Just come in with a plan. Of course, HIIT is always a good thing, but you just need to decide what your body looks like for you. This is all about design. This is all about lifestyle design, my friend. So you need to understand what's good for you. And the other thing I want to say about the physical thing is stop watching people on Instagram. Stop it. I've removed my Instagram from my phone. Yes, I can still access it on browser and I occasionally go on there here and there. But it's not a good platform for many people, you know. It's just not. And this is where you move into the mental management part. It's just not a good platform for many people. And it's not just Instagram. There are other things as well. So you need to stop watching people and find ways to reduce that. Maybe you have, you know, newsfeed eradicator on your Chrome app, you know, on your laptop, whatever it may be, to stop yourself from checking the stuff. So these are all different things you can do. Other stuff you can do in terms of mental management is really just start to jot things down, okay, on a journal or on your phone or whatever it may be. Express yourself. It's okay to do it, my friends. Find ways to express yourself. Maybe you have an accountability buddy or a mentor, coach or therapist you talk to about this stuff. Of course, the last free may cost you something, but with an accountability buddy, it's free. You just need to find the right people. Whether that is people who are interested in similar things to you, that could be a trusted friend. It could potentially be your partner or sibling, even though it's difficult to do that with people who are close to you. However, it's possible. So find people you can talk to, because what we're lacking right now is connection. You know, friends say they're friends, but they're not really friends. You know, life is lifing at the end of the day, but you want someone you can relate to, you know, rely on, have good conversation with, someone who genuinely feels like they're there for you, but you doing the same back. Your word needs to be your bond too. And so find ways in which you can express and release this pent up energy, because it's difficult being in this space. So just to be clear, under performance, you have nutrition management, physical management, and mental management. Okay, I think we're making good progress. Now we're on people. Like I've always said, people make the difference, okay? Now this is broken down into significant other, family, and friends. Now let's start with significant other. Now, if you have someone, then this will be useful for you, but I'll start off with people who are single. Now, I'm personally not single myself. However, I know it's very difficult for people to find the right person. And that's because we're getting older. These apps are creating bold human beings or creatures that, just want certain things and don't want a genuine connection or whatever it may be. Maybe there are alternative ways in which you can find the right person, okay? Sometimes about looking at your circle, seeing who's available and seeing if you've actually passed that person. Maybe there is someone in your life who would be a perfect match for you, but you're just like, oh, now I've known him for so long. Oh, they're friends now. No, it's funny. I'm saying this as if I'm talking as if I'm the girl, but this could be the guy too. It doesn't matter. The point I'm making is look at your options first, really assess them properly. If it sickens you to even think about being with any of those people around you, like truly, like be honest with yourself, don't lie to yourself, but truly like sickening, then maybe the next option is thinking about what other events are you going to where you might see a potential suitor. This could be a church event. This could be a birthday event. This could be a networking event. It could be any of this stuff. I'm not saying go to those events with that in mind. What I'm saying is go to those events with an open mind. Don't be closed off. And it really comes down to simple conversation, being amenable and amicable, being friendly, having a good smile, great conversation, know how to talk about yourself, but also listening to other people as well. This is basic communication. And so having good active or deep listening, having great empowering questions or good sort of feedback or conversations with people, being able to smile and having good sort of like knowing when to sort of like give physical contact, whether that's a hug or a high five or whatever it may be. Knowing how to be playful in certain ways helps you draw in the right sort of person. Now, for those people who are in a relationship, okay, there are some things that can help you. So there is this app called Paired, Paired. You can download that. You can get the premium version if you want, and it asks you questions every day to really see how your relationship is going. When I went on, it was kind of like counseling with my missus, we were really informed with this sort of like structure of the fact that a good relationship comes down to quality time and quality communication. Those are the two things. So really find times to improve that. That quality communication can come from the fact that rather than shouting, pause and just lower your voice, like deliberately aim to lower your voice or to spin it with a question. Or if you're going to say something, write it down first. See the stupidness that you wrote down and see if you can see it and say it in a different way. Maybe even read off your phone so that it gives you confidence in terms of saying the right thing. So that's another thing you can do as well. In terms of the communication thing, have specific times to sit down and eat together, okay? Every night if you live together. If you don't, then maybe, you specifically have a date night every Friday or every 2 weeks or every month. Whatever you can do, whatever you can afford. It doesn't have to be expensive. It just needs to create quality time. If you've got someone whose love language is gifts, then my friend, girl or guy, you got a hard time. But this is where compromise comes into play, all jokes aside. It's about the quality time and the communication. That's what's really important. And that's when you can reveal your love languages. But understand your love languages. If you've never read it, read the book. I think his name is by Dr. Gary... I've forgotten his name. It's by some doctor. He spent years just really sort of working with couples. Just learn what your love language is. We usually have a primary one and we usually have a secondary one. Okay, so I know for me, acts of service and communication is really big for me. It's really big for me. Okay, and so think about that stuff. Also, think about what your personality type is. So if you've done 16 personalities, that may be another way to do it. Some people may be a bit more more higher in the sky and they like the whole astrology thing or numerology thing. Whatever tickles your fancy, whatever gives you some sense of idea around your persona, check that stuff out and really think about what that looks like for your partner as well. So the other thing I'd say about this bit about significant other is talk about finances. This is a big one. I think 80%, I don't know when this was a stat, But I know that 80% of relationships broke down because of finances. So it's a big deal, whether that's due to a wedding or a loan or whatever it may be. Think about this stuff. But most importantly, try to create memories, spend time with each other, and talk about your past, talk about your future, talk about all of that kind of stuff there as well. The next thing out of people is family. So with family, it's a difficult one because everyone has their own sort of like, situationships, should we say, or context or background. Look, I'm not going to tell you what to do about family, but what I can say is if you're trying to make it work, the best thing to do is to go to as many family events as possible. That's the best thing you can do, because going to, let's say, for example, birthdays or someone's wedding or baptism, whatever it may be, creates a ritual. Okay, so if you don't really speak to your family as much, I'm talking about immediate family initially, then you need to create a cadence. You need to create a cadence where you speak to maybe a sibling or parents or parent on a daily or weekly basis. You need to find ways to communicate with them, even if it's for like 5 minutes, 2 minutes, half an hour, whatever makes sense, because they're part of you, like whether you like it or not, you're a product of these people. And so think about this stuff and create that cadence as well. You also want to make sure that you're in a situation where you reach out to other family members from time to time, because at the end of the day, is blood thicker than water? I'll let you answer that question. Because some people are like, hell no, I've got this cousin or that sibling or this blah, 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 who I don't talk to. That's fair enough. It is what it is. But find ways to see if you can iron out some of your issues. And usually it takes a partner, like someone external or a child or someone else to really, I guess indirectly, become a mediator or increase the communication between some of the things that weren't ironed out before. Family sometimes is the reason why we're held back. So you need to make a strong decision. Either you're going to make this work or you're going to steer clear. And it's okay to do either or. You just need to decide what that looks like for you. So that's a little bit about family as well. But just remember, sometimes it gets worse before it gets better. That's the key thing to understand here. Sometimes it gets worse before it gets better. So you just have to trust the process. The next thing from the whole people bit is friends. Now, this is a big topic. I could do a whole YouTube video on this on its own. I probably will, to be fair. But I've broken this up into different sections. So you need to set your standards and values when it comes to friendship. So number 1, do they proactively reach out? Number 2, is there a level of responsiveness that is genuine? Number 3, what is their level of emotional intelligence? So do they have social monitoring? That is like, they may be thinking something, but they express it and articulate in a way that is not going to be damaging to the people around you. Do they have good levels of communication in general? Do they have a level of empathy, i.e. they put themselves in your shoes as opposed to talking about themselves and being selfish all the time? So that's all in emotional intelligence. The next thing in that bit is loyalty. Are they loyal to you, or are they one of those people who just kind of like goes from one person to another, just snatching other people's friends and just forgets you? Or, they say one thing, but they do something else. There has to be a level of integrity. Are they ambitious? Do you want somebody who is reaching for the stars and pulls you along with them? Or are they just focusing on just really dry stuff? What is their level of honesty? And again, it goes back to integrity. Integrity really is consistency of behavior in various different circumstances. You should be able to know what your friend is likely to do because they have a level of integrity. But most importantly, they are authentic by nature. They're authentic. And so thinking about these values within friendship is key. These are just examples, obviously, but you need to think about what your value system is for your friends too. Now, of course, I've spoken about this before. There are different types of friends, and you need to assess what type of friends you want in your circle. So there are conversational friends, people who you just like to chat with, okay, chat nonsense and, talk about things from Netflix or some sort of event or whatever it may be. Doesn't matter. There's value in that feeling, in that experience. There's also social people. So people who are always just doing activities or going out and blah, 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 and all this kind of stuff there. There's proactive friends who are there to physically support you and do things. Like they actually do things. And it makes you think, wow, this person's got my back, man. This person's really got my back. You got ambitious friends who is the entrepreneur, business owner, or whatever it may be. And they're just climbing. It's inspirational to see. And they pull you along as well by motivating you as well. You got dead weight. People are just there just to be there. Maybe you've known them for a long time, or maybe it's a situation where they're just in the same proximity or environment. They're still dead weight. And then you have the mystery box. So the mystery box is somebody who, I guess, people like don't really understand. They're misunderstood. People don't really understand why you're friends, but you guys understand. Maybe you don't know how to articulate it, but there's something shared there. It may be history, it may be culture, it may be something, but they're a mystery box. And finally, you have the holistic person who you can talk to about anything. You can do whatever with, like the holistic. They really get you as a person. As Aristotle said, friends are an extension of your family. I'm paraphrasing there, of course. So don't forget to communicate with your friends. We're going through a WhatsApp epidemic right now, or pandemic, should I say, where people can't be bothered to message people within 24 hours. Okay, before I'd expect even quicker than that, but since the pandemic hit, it's like no one cares. Reach out to your friends, say happy birthday to them, call them, message them. I'm not saying all the time, but just be sensible with it. Okay, if you're looking to go offline or whatever it may be, which I'm currently doing right now, let them know or put it in your status. Be clear about it. Okay, learn to listen more than you speak. Of course, you have to be able to speak about yourself, but learn to listen more. Because if you just talk about yourself all the time, they're going to be, oh, this person is boring, man. There needs to be good etiquette, really good etiquette. Because at the end of the day, there needs to be an unspoken and an adhered, should I say, etiquette that exists between you and your friend. If this is broken multiple times in terms of how you should speak with each other, then that's when trust is broken. That's essentially what happens. But I can talk more about that later. So to cover the whole people section, you got significant other, you got family, and you got friends. And finally, you got personal. So I've broken this down into 3 bits: home management, fun and recreation, and personal growth. We're almost done, guys. We're almost done. So essentially, when it comes to home matters, you need to create some really simple principles, should I say. Okay, so things like when you should go to sleep and why, what you should do when you get up. So these things include things like washing and drying dishes. I'm going to go through my list I can see right now. Washing and drying clothes, what to eat and drink and when to eat and drink, maintaining your garden. Oh my gosh, garden life is not easy, yo. Buying and cooking food, when you're going to watch TV you're going to watch, and what sort of games you're going to play, when to go out and who to go out with, what times and place you work, okay, and what you're willing to do. And also what you want your house to look like and feel like, so the energy of it, okay, and when you're looking to do this. And also think about future plans for your house as well. This is just a list of things to think about when it comes to property / home management. It's a big deal, man. Home management is underrepresented and not spoken about enough when it comes to just adulting and lifing through life, so to speak. So think about some of this stuff. When it comes to fun and recreation, you need to decide what fun looks like for you. It's not always an activity. Maybe that's not fun for you. Maybe it's just chilling with friends. Maybe it's playing games. Maybe it's creating something. Maybe it's even working. You need to decide what that looks like for you, and don't let anyone ridicule you for it, because that's what you feel, and that's what you're telling yourself. Decide if holidays are sensible for you right now. I'm not going to say you need to go on holiday at least once a year. All this. No, I'm not going to say any of that stuff. Look, it's been a long time coming since I've been on holiday. It's been a very long time. I've been grinding for the last 3, almost 4 years. Proper grinding. No holiday, none of that stuff. I'm happy to say that's definitely happening this year. I'm going to 3 countries, which is really good. So you need to decide for yourself, though, what's your bank account saying? Okay. Can you afford to go? And this is why I said at the beginning, you need to check your wealth and really understand what situation you're in. So yeah, this will be dictated by how much you make and what you can keep, but also what you're willing to do as well. You also need to find out sort of what activities your friends like to do, whether they're paid or free. This supports the cause as well. So yeah, just think of different things that you can do. Maybe there is an idea where every month someone comes to your house or you go to someone's house and you put money into a kitty or a pot specific for activities. So you know this is a serious thing. I'm going to have fun. This is how I'm going to have fun. This is what we're deciding as a group, okay? So really learn to create joy, laugh, and develop great experiences. And the final thing is personal growth. You need to determine what your values are. I spoke about that at the beginning. It's funny how all these things go full circle. You need to understand what your values are. Your values determine your destiny. You have to remember that. They determine your destiny. Be clear of your sense of vision. What is your vision for your life? What do you want to look like? What do you want to feel like? What do you want people to say about you? How much money do you want to make? What do you see? What do you clearly see in your mind's eye? You really need to understand this and find ways to unearth it, okay? Set out key objectives, okay? So these are my pillars for my life, and this is how I'm going to go about it. Maybe you can use these 4 different bits as an example. You also want to make sure that you progress when it comes to performance. So performance acts as your power, and your personal growth also fuels that as well. And you also want to make sure that you read, watch, listen to books centered around some of these things, okay? Psychology, philosophy, spirituality, biographies, business, and general personal growth. Some of that stuff may be tailored more towards your fancy, maybe others don't. But I say this stuff specifically because you need to be able to think. You need to be able to think, how do you interact with the world? How does the world interact with you? How does all of this stuff work? Because it makes you more of a competent human being, naturally. And so these are the things that you can do. Final 2 points. Aim to be a kind person and not a dickhead, okay? But you need to learn to be firm at the same time. So yeah, draw people in with your kindness, but be firm when you need to be firm. It's that simple. And finally, develop the art of people liking you, but not necessarily taking you too seriously. What I mean by that is people need to be able to be like, yeah, the energy is A1. But at the same time, like, them not taking you too seriously, it's like, how do I put this? Let me rephrase that. You want people to see you as sort of fun, but also take you seriously as well. That's what I meant to say. So they don't mess with you, but at the same time, they're like, yeah, he's cool to chill with, or she's cool to chill with. So that's all of that. So really, again, under personal, you have home management, fun and recreation, you have personal growth. So again, if you want to see this stuff in action, if you want something to go along with, check out the life navigation system in the link in my bio. But remember, guys, this is a message I want you to hear as a reminder. It may sound like a lot of things, but when we do it, it's not a lot of things. It's just something that we just do. I'm just trying to get you to be more conscious about it, because boys and girls, it's been a difficult ride, okay? And I want you guys to succeed. I want you guys to thrive. If you want to hit me up, you can also check me out on LinkedIn at michaeltabirade. And if you want to see more videos centered around life management, positive psychology, and portfolio careers, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. And as always, my friends, understand, reach, and expand. Peace.